Hey mama, if you're listening to this, you might be carrying a secret that feels too heavy to speak out loud. You look like you got it all together, you serve at church, maybe you even lead a Bible study. You smile when you drop off the kids, but no one sees the other side of you, the one that comes out behind closed doors. At home, you are a completely different person. You yell, you explode, you scream at your kids, sometimes in their face. You tell them to shut up. You grab them too harshly. You throw things across the room. You smack them in anger, twist their ears, spank them in rage, and immediately after, you are hit with a tidal wave of shame. You cry alone in your room and you whisper, "God, what is wrong with me?" You feel scared and disgusted by your own reactions. You're terrified that someone might find out. You wonder if your kids would be better off without you. You feel unworthy, broken, and too far gone to be redeemed. You try to fix this on your own. You listen to podcasts, parenting books, download freebies, but nothing changes. You keep falling back into the same patterns, and it feels like you are stuck in a cycle that you can't break. You don't trust yourself anymore, and if you're honest, you are afraid of who you become. But here's the truth, Mama. You are not beyond hope. You're not alone, and with God's help and the right support, you can change. I'm Elizabeth, a mom of 4 and an anger management coach for Christian moms. And inside my Calm Christian Mom coaching program, I guide women just like you through a powerful transformation. This isn't shallow behavior management. We go deep. We address your triggers, your stress, your mindset, your nervous system, and the spiritual root behind your patterns. We invite God into every layer and walk hand in hand towards healing. In just 12 weeks, you can become a completely different mom, unrecognizable. One who leads with patience, not panic. One whose children feel emotionally safe around her. One who cultivates peace. This summer, I'm offering a Calm Mama Strategy Session, a powerful 15-minute one-on-one coaching session designed to help you uncover the root of your anger and receive spiritual, emotional, and practical support. It's your chance to experience what coaching is like with me before diving deeper into ongoing support. If we both feel like the full program is the next right step, we can talk about what that looks like for you. You don't have to keep living like this. Your family is worth healing, and so are you. Use the link in the show notes to book the Calm Mama Strategy Session. If you ever thought to yourself, Elizabeth teaches this work. I listen to her podcast. She must have this whole anger thing down under control. She never loses her cool. She's always calm and patient with her kids. Well, let me tell you the truth. That's a lie. I'm not always patient and calm with my kids. I am most of the time, but not always. And today I wanted to share with you a time that I yelled at my toddler and how I reflect on an anger episode of anger and frustration without shaming myself and telling myself, "Oh, I'm a terrible mom. I should have never done this. And my kids are going to be ruined for the rest of my life." And I just want to share with you, this is not an episode where it was like extreme rage or like insane anger. It was just a lot of frustration. And I will share with you exactly what happened. And I think you're going to relate if you've ever been into a similar scenario with your kids, which chances are you have been. If you have little kids, if you have multiple kids and you're being pulled in multiple directions, you're running on empty a little bit, you are going to relate to this episode. So how did this happen that I yelled at my toddler? So this was about, I would say, like a month ago when this happened. It was evening time and I was getting my toddler ready for bed. I was feeling really tired for some reason that day. It was the week before my cycle, which I typically feel a lot more tired during that time. And I spent hours in the kitchen, like cooking for my family. I think it was like a Saturday night. I spent a lot of time in the kitchen cooking that day, and I was getting my toddler ready for bed. And her thing recently that she's been really into, and if you have a toddler, you totally understand, running away and thinking it's funny. And she thinks it's hilarious. And most of the time, I can actually play along with her and be playful as she's running away and catch her and turn it into like a fun game. Well, I really was not in the mood for that because I was feeling like I was coming down with a sickness. I wasn't feeling physically well. I was feeling really tired from being on my feet all day, cooking all day, and just one of those days where you're just feeling yucky, mentally, emotionally, physically. So I finally got her and I brushed her teeth and we were finishing up and she was in the bathroom and I just went around the corner from the bathroom to grab a clean towel. Well, she started to run out of the bathroom and she runs so fast. She's 3.5. And oh my goodness, like if she runs out on our street, I need to actually like sprint to get her. I'm 4'11. I'm not that tall. So my feet are, my legs are pretty short, but oh my goodness, that girl can run fast. I'm not even kidding, like so fast. And so I tried catching her as she was running out and I slipped and my foot hit the corner of the wall and I stabbed my toe. So think of this whole scenario. Like if you've ever been in a similar situation with kids, and I just like out loud, I went like, come on. I feel so mad. Stop running away from me. Oh, this hurts. And obviously a lot louder than I'm saying it in this podcast episode, but just like actually like yelling out loud. I was really feeling extremely frustrated that she was running away from me. And I said, stop running away from me. And so because I don't raise my voice that often at my kids, what I do once in a while, which still happens because I'm a sinner, I'm not perfect, and nor do I expect you to be perfect if you work with me. It's not about perfection. It's about what is your norm? Like, what is your baseline and how do you treat your family and your kids and how do you handle things on a regular basis? Because you're still going to have moments where you mess up and we repair, and we'll talk about that here in a second. And because that's not my norm, my kids typically, like, they are very sensitive to when I do yell and raise my voice. And so my daughter was really sensitive. She ran to her room and she hid behind the rocking chair and she started to cry. And so my husband went over there to her, and a minute later I followed too. And I took some deep breaths and I apologized and I explained to her that I feel really frustrated when she runs away and that she needs to listen to mom when mom tells her to stay. Obviously, when you have a toddler, you need to teach them these things over and over and over again. And so I apologized for yelling at her. I said I should not have yelled. I'm sorry that I yelled. Next time, I will hold your hand instead of, like walking away. That would be my plan, what I would do differently next time. And so I want to tell you a little bit, how do I reflect on an episode like that without shaming myself and saying a lot of negative things? Oh my goodness, I yelled at my kids. I'm ruining them for life. Now my relationship is ruined. And listen, I didn't say anything hurtful and destructive here. I just like yelled and raised my voice because I was feeling really angry, feeling extremely frustrated. And I want you to catch this part. I'm not saying I am frustrated and I am angry. I felt frustrated and I felt angry because it's not who I am. It's what I feel. And that's two different things. You can feel an emotion and it's not part of who you are. An emotion comes and goes and you can do something about that feeling. So I felt frustrated and I felt angry when my daughter was running away. And so I can reflect on that. And what helps me, and I have like actually a really great training that goes in so much depth about this. And the training that I have for you, if you go to endmomshame.com, or if you scroll down the show notes, there's a next step section over there. And step one is to listen to the free training. And in that training, I help you reflect so much more deeper in what I'm going to share with you here. And it's actually on a rage episode, like when you experience rage, out of control rage with your children. And so I will this one, because I didn't experience rage in this episode, I just experienced a lot of frustration and anger, and none of it was destructive. Like I did not hurt anybody with my anger, and I did not say anything hurtful or destructive. I just raised my voice. And still, I felt feelings of discomfort, not discomfort, I would say some shame. And I'll tell you why here in just a second and how I reflected on it. But if you go to endmomshame.com, that training is so much more in depth, specifically for you as a Christian mom. If you experience out of control rage with your kids, how to reflect on that without shame and getting stuck in that shame cycle and believing all the negative lies that the enemy is telling you about yourself, that you're a terrible mom, that you're screwing your kids for life, you're not meant to do this, you're always failing, those kind of shameful thoughts. Okay. So how did I reflect on it? So my first thought is when I mess up with my kids, when I raise my voice, when I yell, when I experience anger here and there. I mean, it's a normal emotion, but when my anger is a little bit out of control in that sense where I didn't feel control in that moment. My first thought is, will you teach this? While you teach this, you should do better. Those are always my thoughts. And I know that thought is from the enemy because he wants me to feel shame about my reaction so I don't put out helpful resources for you. Because he's saying, well, you mess up. You're not perfect. Who are you to teach? So that is always my first thought. Maybe because I'm a coach and I teach specifically in this topic, that is my thought. And so I needed to pause myself, be like, hold on, like pause right there. I had hundreds of interactions with my daughter that same day. Hundreds, probably, right? I've been with her from the moment she woke up that whole day. And it was already like, 8 some PM. And so many, just about every interaction outside of this one was a positive interaction with her that day. So I needed to redirect my mind to be like, hold on. Like I had a lot of positive interactions with her. I messed up one time, that one day, and my mind just wants to expand on it. And the enemy's like, oh, look at this. You messed up. Look at this time where you completely screwed up with your daughter. You messed up with your daughter. You yelled. Look at you. Who are you to teach moms about anger if you are still losing your cool with your kids? And what helps me to reflect on that without shame is having the perspective of what would Jesus tell me in this moment. If I'm sitting there on the floor against the wall, just feeling discouraged, and Jesus comes and sits next to me, what would he tell me in that moment? And I know that you're listening to this and you're like, Elizabeth, this is nothing compared to what I deal with. The amount I yell at my kids, the amount I explode in rage, how I hurt my kids with my words and with my actions, Elizabeth, this is absolutely nothing. And believe me, I've come a long way. I used to spank my kids in anger. I used to say hurtful things in anger, like things that I would have remorse over and wish I could take back. I don't do that anymore because of the work that I have put in. And if this is you and you relate to this and you are just completely filled with remorse and shame and you are ready, you're so ready to stop this cycle and to break this, and you want help and you want my help to handhold you along the process instead of just putting pieces together from the podcast and books and other free resources, you want someone to walk alongside you. I want to tell you that there's help for you available. I do have a coaching program called Calm Christian Mom. It's a 12-week coaching program specifically made for you, a Christian mama who struggles with constant anger, rage, frustration, yelling, negativity, saying hurtful things, doing hurtful things in anger. And if you are ready to put in the work, that it takes on your part to make these positive changes in your life, to be a calm, patient, loving, kind, understanding, compassionate mom, most of the time, for that to be your norm, I want to invite you to book a free consultation call with me. The call is completely free. It's a 45-minute Zoom call where you and I get on the call and you share with me everything that is going on. And I listen to you. I ask you some questions. If I feel like my program is the right next step for you, I will share with you about my coaching program. And then you get to decide if you want to take the next step and to enroll in my coaching program. And if it's not the right fit, I will guide you in the right direction. So if this resonates with you and you want that support, book a free consultation call. The link is in the show notes. So let's go back to, what would Jesus say if Jesus came and sat alongside me? And would he tell me, oh my goodness, you're such a terrible mom. You yelled at your daughter. You're the worst mom in the world. You're ruining her for life. Do you think that is something that Jesus would do? Let's say I actually hurt my daughter physically. I was like rough with her and I yanked her, or maybe I spanked her on the butt out of anger. Maybe I pushed her in the wall. I mean, some people do that. Maybe, what if I physically hurt her and actually said something hurtful to her? Let's just take that scenario. What would Jesus say to me in that moment? Just want you to kind of ponder on that. Would he call me names and say, you're such a terrible mom? I don't even know how you became a mom. You should never be a mom. Or would he just come and sit alongside me, wrap his arms around me, give me a hug and say, I know this feels really hard. You are doing your best. You're doing a great job overall. You did mess up. That was sinful. That was hurtful. You are forgiven. Now go ahead and make things right with your daughter. Is that something that Jesus would say? If I could visualize Jesus being next to me, that's something that he would say to me. He would encourage me and just say, I know you're having a hard time. You're having a rough day. You responded, you reacted out of anger, and that was hurtful and destructive and sinful. And you are forgiven. Let's apologize and don't do this no more. And next time, right? Like next time we get to learn the tools how to do things differently. That's the thing that I teach you in my coaching program. We don't just apologize with our kids and make amends and just take ownership. That is great. And we need to do that. I teach you the tools. What do you do differently next time? Because the scenario like that is going to come up again. What are you going to do differently? How are you going to react? Apologize, not react. Reaction is a negative way that you are handling things. How are you going to respond differently next time? So I think it's okay for me to just say, this feels so frustrating. And just express that frustration with my voice, as long as I'm not hurting my kids and with my words and actions or others or things, right? There's nothing wrong with feeling the emotion of frustration and anger. It is how you handle yourself when you are feeling that emotion. So what helps me to reflect without shame is having curiosity. What was going on? What happened that led up to it? And how would Jesus handle this if he was right next to me? What would he say to me? That helps me reflect with more compassion and grace and understanding towards myself than shaming myself. Also, looking at the positive ways that I have interacted with my kids. And if you want to go so much more deeper into this, I would love for you to go to endmomshame.com or scroll down the show notes to the section, next step section. There's a free training. It's the same training. It's going to lead you to that free training where it will walk you through the steps, how to reflect step by step on shame and how to break free from that cycle. I also wanted to share with you a positive interaction. Well, a way that I handled something a little bit more positively with my kids, also a very frustrating moment with my children. And I was able to recognize and I was able to redirect my mind. I was able to realize that I'm feeling really frustrated. I'm not going to handle this well. And I need to redirect my thoughts. So then I have different actions and let go of some of my expectations. So instead of feeling really frustrated and handling things poorly. So this was the day after that other scenario. So it's like the next day. So the next day was Sunday, and my husband and I stayed home because I was not feeling great. He was physically feeling sick, and we just both stayed home. We did not go to church, so the kids are all home. So my husband was still sleeping. I made breakfast for the kids, and then I wanted to settle the kids and read the Bible to them since we didn't go to church. I have 4 kids. I have a 13-year-old, a 10-year-old, and a 7-year-old boy. So 3 boys and a 3.5-year-old girl. As you can imagine, trying to settle all the kids and reading a devotional with them or a Bible with them, it's not as simple and easy as it sounds. If you have multiple kids, you realize how frustrating it can be when they do not cooperate with you. And that was the case. My oldest was upset that he wasn't getting something his way. So he was already frustrated when I needed him to settle down and listen to the Bible. My youngest one, the girl, she wanted to be in a fort that her brothers built for her. Well, it kept breaking down. And so that was frustrating for her. And she kept on crying about that as you're trying to read the Bible. The 2 middle boys kept playing together instead of listening when I needed them to listen. And I told them to play separately so then they would stay quiet. And one of them was really upset about that because he wanted to play with his brother. Anyways, the youngest one was crying and she decided to hurt the dog because she felt really upset. And I felt really frustrated about the whole scenario, thinking like, listen, I'm trying to do this whole spiritual thing here, be a good mom, be a good Christian, read the Bible with my kids, even though we didn't go to church because we weren't feeling well. And none of my kids are cooperating. Like, I'm trying to get them to listen to the Bible and none of them are cooperating. And it just feels so frustrating, right? It felt out of my control. And I kept my internal instinct, I kept wanting to control my kids, their behavior, and I could not because I cannot control their emotions. And their emotions are guiding their behavior, right? What they want, what they don't want in that moment. And even though I'm telling them to sit down and listen, they were really frustrating, wanting to do their thing their way, right? And giving me lots of resistance. And then my frustration was really rising. And so at that moment, I paused and I'm like, I have 2 options. Okay. I prayed. I'm like, Lord, you see my desire here. Like, you see my intention, my motivation to read the Bible with kids, to do the right thing, to get them in the Word, and none of them are cooperating. And so I had 2 options in that moment. I could choose to tell myself, this is poor timing. We will just come back to this and try again later in the day. It could be in the afternoon, it could be in the evening, but this is just poor timing with the kids, and I'm just going to choose to let this go for now, right? Or I could continue to try to get things my way. I want them to sit there and listen to me read the Bible because that's what I want them to do right now. And because it's the right thing to do. It's a spiritual thing. Read the Bible with my kids. We need to do the devotions. And no one's cooperating and just forcing my kids to sit down. All of them are kind of feeling frustrated and annoyed by the way their thinking brain is turned off. So none of the things that they're learning and I'm teaching is registering because they're all in a yucky place. And so because when you're feeling angry, frustrated, or upset and things are not going your way, you feel like your thinking brain that helps you process and learn anything new is offline. So I knew that if I continued to force the situation, it would just not go well. And I also was physically not feeling well. And I also realized that even if I would try to get my kids to sit there and listen, I didn't have the emotional capacity in that moment to parent well. I felt sick. My cycle was about to start. So those were the days before my cycle. I wasn't feeling great. And so I made the mental choice, the mental decision to let it go for now. let my kids play instead of forcing them to stay still. I just let my two middle ones play. I just let my oldest walk away and do his thing. And I helped my youngest daughter with a fork, gave her a snack. I just chose to let it go. Not to let it go completely forever in the sense like, whatever, forget this, we're never reading the Bible because my kids don't listen to cooperate, but just realizing that was not the best timing. And if I would try to force my kids to sit them and listen, and my husband was also sleeping because he wasn't feeling well, so I didn't have that support system. I just realized that in that moment, it was better for me mentally and emotionally to let it go. And God saw my heart. He saw my motivation. He saw my desire to teach my kids. And he also saw the circumstance. And I decided to just let it go. And I just turned on an episode of Chosen. And I watched an episode of Chosen while my kids played around me. Even though I had to pause multiple times, that's okay. And I chose a mental decision to choose to let it go, then force things to be my way. Right now, how I want it, this moment. And that is the part of control that produces lots of frustration and anger for moms. So that is just a scenario I wanted to share with you. Maybe it will be helpful for you, maybe not. But I just wanted you to hear that from me, that I do still feel frustrated and angry with my kids. That is a normal feeling and emotion. It's what you do with that frustration and anger. Do you say hurtful things? Do you do sinful actions? Do you destroy relationships with your words and actions? Or do you feel the emotion, you recognize it, and you have self-control to stop that emotion? You're able to shift your perspective where you need to shift your perspective and let things go where things can be let go instead of forcing them to be your way and then creating more frustration and tension between you and the kids. What is more important? For me to have more peace in my house than for me to force my kids down to sit there and when I'm reading the Bible, you have to listen, and them resenting me for it? Yeah, I don't think so. I don't think that's how God intended for my kids to receive God's word. And so this is just a word of encouragement. Sometimes we need to make that mental shift as a mom and just choose to let it go. It's okay. There's going to be another opportunity. It's poor timing right now. I'm just choosing to let it go. All right, as I wrap this up, 2 things. endofmomshame.com, free training for you if you are stuck in a shame cycle of constantly reacting in anger, frustration, yelling at your kids, screaming in rage, feeling completely out of control, and you're filled with remorse and shame, and you don't know how to get out of it. That training is going to give you a step-by-step. It's going to tell you why you're in that cycle and how to process shame and get out of that shame, like the mindset shifts that you need to do from a spiritual, biblical perspective. endmomshame.com. You go to that website. And the second thing is, if you want help, friend, if you truly want help and you're ready to make changes in your life and you don't want to be an angry, mean mom anymore, you want to be a loving, kind, compassionate, understanding mama. You want to be able to take your thoughts captive. You want to control your mindset and be self-controlled instead of trying to other control. I have a program for you that's going to completely change your life. Calm Christian Mom Coaching Program. The details are in the show notes if you want to check out if this program is for you. And let's get on a call. Book a free consultation call. Using the link in the show note, let's get on this call and to see if my program is the next best step for you. You get to set the tone in your home. You get to set the positive example for your kids. Let's change your legacy for the better. Until next time. Hey mama, do you find yourself snapping over the smallest things, like spilled milk or constant whining, then feeling horrible afterwards? If you're tired of losing your temper and you want to show up with more patience, I have something for you. It's a free training called How to Be More Patient with Your Kids so you're not screaming over spilled milk. Inside, I'll walk you through 10 simple things you can start doing today to become a calmer, more Christ-like mom, even on the hard days. To get it for free, just leave a rating and review on Apple Podcasts and send a screenshot to hello@emotionallyhealthylegacy.com. Or if you'd rather skip the wait, you can grab it right now for just $27. The link is in the show notes. Let's help you become the peaceful, patient mom your kids need.